morning, smart band starters. It's John Sawicki, guitars and vocals in the LA melodic death metal band Viminal. And what time is it? It's fucking vlog time, and we're gonna talk about fixing up your logo today. This is sort of a thing I didn't expect I'd have to grapple with, but actually for a couple of years, not knowing it, didn't have like a finished logo. But I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. We're actually going to jump into my computer and you won't have to look at my face in this vlog. Please hang out till the end of the video because I have yet another fun announcement about some shit I'm going to be posting next week. All right, welcome to my lair in the computer where all the magic happens and shit. All right, we're going to talk about logo shit. So, when you first hit up a graphic designer or somebody to make your logo or your stylized logo or font or something, you'll probably get something that looks like this. It's just kind of a sketch. And obviously this is not the finished thing. It's basically drawn with pen and marker or sometimes pencil. And the idea is just to give you like a rough idea of what your shit's going to look like. And just for fun, I will show you some of the other drafts we had. Here's another one. This is another one. Hopefully we picked the right one with that. All right, so we went with that, and nothing too fancy here, but I do have a tip, and that is that if you're gonna send edits, you should either print out the drawing and then mark up the drawing with with different colors, that color code with whatever your request is, or on the computer, like in preview or whatever, start drawing shit. And I do recommend color coding it, basically because it's super hard to explain textually to your graphic artist. Okay, so the top right portion of the V, the inner top, like right, left, whatever, it just gets too confusing and they'll make mistakes because it's not clear what you're saying. So much easier to draw a pink circle and say, top part of the V and then say pink fucking circle. All right, just make it clear. Okay, so you've gotten your draft and you've sent back your feedback, and you'll get something like this. Now, this is the final Viminal logo that was hand drawn, and it looks basically perfect, right? However, the issue is that with the hand-drawn stuff, you zoom in, hopefully you can see this is the PNG version, but if you zoom in, I'm going to zoom in even more so you can just totally tell. There's all these little imperfections here, these jagged lines. I don't know if you can tell, but there's these dots and shit here on the inside of the letters. Like I said, jagged lines on the outside, and certain places you can see like stuff poking out, like here, or lines that aren't totally straight. Show you 1 second. Like this. Oh man, I wish you could see this better. Like right here, there's this fucking just a black speck. I don't know why that's there, but it got into the image, and it's just gonna be there, unless you edit it out and resave the image and blah blah blah. So if you're working with somebody who is hand drawing your shit, they will send you this as a final version possibly, but you do not want to hang on to that, and you don't want to end with that unless you like the way a hand drawn logo looks. Some bands like that sort of organic, natural, kind of crude look of a hand-drawn logo. And that's cool if that's what you're into, and I'll actually show you in 1 second what it looks like to go one step further in that direction. But for us, that wasn't going to fly. Now, for two reasons. One, as I said, there's the jagged lines on the outside. It doesn't look so bad in this image, especially if I zoom out. You really can't tell, but if you blow this up on like a banner, all those jagged lines and subtle imperfections are going to be really noticeable. The second problem is, as I mentioned, there's some white specks on the inside of the actual letters that should be all blacked out, and it's even more obvious if I tried to turn it white. It might look okay, but when I zoom in, look at that shit. All these little black things on the on the inside there, because the art itself was hand drawn and then hand, drawn in. It was filled in by hand, so you're gonna have just tiny imperfections, and that's an issue if you try to, in this case, with the inside part, if you try to change the color, because it's not all one color technically, the inside, so you can't change it with software really easily. It's also really obvious if you look at this, where I tried to make it a different color. It's like orange and red, but then black on the inside, again, just because it's all hand drawn and hand filled in. So you can solve the inside issue by digitizing the hand drawn logo, and that would look something like this. So this is the hand drawn logo that I had somebody scan into their computer and fill in the inside portion. So if you zoom in, it's now totally black on the inside. There's none of that white shit. If you are going for a hand-drawn logo, if you like that look, I would personally recommend you at least do this. If you Google how to digitize, if you actually Google these words, how to digitize a hand-drawn logo, you'll see all kinds of tutorials for how to do this. And you can do it yourself, I think, or have somebody do it for you. And that'll solve sort of that inside issue. However, as you might notice, there's still imperfections on the edges. You can kind of look here on this eye. If I zoom in, basically things aren't perfectly straight. This curve doesn't really match this curve. There's this little hump here. See if I can find a more obvious problem. If you notice here, this curve isn't really uniform. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you wouldn't notice unless you were paying attention to it. But if you put it up on a banner, it's going to be really noticeable, because the banner's going to be big. It's not going to be this tiny thing on a computer screen. Okay, so we want to fix that. We want the lines to be perfectly straight. We want all the curves to be to have some uniform structure to them. We don't want things with like humps and jagged lines and things that get skinny and then fat, blah, blah, blah. We don't want any of that. So what can you do? You have to have somebody fully digitize your shit. And I don't think that's as simple as having them just scan your original logo. I think they might have to do might basically have to redo it. But it is worth having it done. So that looks like this. This is the new revamped Viminal logo for 2017, and now we can put it on banners, which we've done. If you check our Instagram and Facebook, there's a picture of our new banner. But if you zoom in, all these lines are perfectly straight. All the curves are perfectly smooth. There's no jaggedness. There's no like random little humps or things missing. Everything was done on a computer. So basically, you want to tell your graphic artist or whoever, this comes perfectly to a point. You want them to design it on the computer. It's fine to start with a hand-drawn draft, but you at some point want, in my opinion, the final version to be done on a computer, so that you're not having those little imperfections. If you like the way a hand-drawn logo looks, okay, cool, do that. I personally thought it was more appropriate for this look and this band to have things more uniform, so that's what we did. All right, pretty sure that is all I had to say on that. So the short half is find a good graphic designer. I'll actually list a few in the description that I like and that I've worked with. Find a good graphic designer. Get the draft. If you're going to edit it, I recommend editing it using, or if you're going to send feedback rather, I recommend using like a colored pencil or some sort of drawing tool on a computer to note in circles or whatever in different colors the changes you want to make. And after you get everything in the draft the way you like it, get it fucking digitally made. Get it done on a computer. Some graphic artists won't do the hand-drawn thing in the first place, and that's good, but it's just something to be aware of. I've been in bands before where we just had the hand-drawn version, and I personally think that is not as good as having it digitally made. So basically, just ask when you talk to your graphic artist, ask him or her how the logo is going to be made. Is it going to be just hand-drawn or made on a computer? I have had the experience that some artists who draw by hand cannot then make it on the computer. You'll have to go to somebody else. If you want to avoid that extra step, ask at the outset if the artist can make your logo on the computer in the end. As I've explained to you with this, originally the Viminal logo was not made on a computer, and so I actually had to take the hand-drawn version to somebody else and get this new, shiny, crisp computer-made version so that we can put it on banners and t-shirts and all kinds of fun shit that you'll see soon. All right, I hope that was really helpful. Thanks for hanging out till the end. So in the previous vlog, and as you might notice from a bunch of videos I've posted on the page or on the channel, I mentioned I went to Greece earlier this year and met up with my guitar teacher, whom I've been taking lessons with for like 3 or 4 years. And oddly enough, I've never met the guy because he lives in Greece and teaches via Skype. And I happened to travel to Greece this year, and I was lucky enough to meet up with the guy, Theodore Zeros. So that was a lot of fun. And he did a full interview for us. I'll link it either here or below or at the end of the video, whatever. And we talked all about practicing and hiring a teacher and how to approach sort of balancing all the things you have to do as a musician. It was a lot of fun. It was, I think, really helpful to me and hopefully to the people watching. I also was able to meet up with Steve Lotto. Now, Steve Lotto is a producer and engineer. Works in the studio basically. He also plays in a really cool band called Tardive Dyskinesia. But my relationship with him is that he did the production, the mixing, mastering, reamping, all kinds of shit for our last single, Kill the Boy. So I wanted to hang out with him and ask him about what it takes to be a good producer or how to go hire a producer. Production and stuff is just not something I know a lot about. It's probably the weakest area I have in terms of starting this band, so I really wanted to learn more about that. And Steve has a really good down-to-earth perspective. He doesn't recommend a lot of fancy things, and I think a lot of his advice was good for people just starting out. So having said that, I'm going to start posting some clips of that next week, and then, as I did with the Theodore Zeros interview, follow that up with the full interview. It's like an hour long. It's really awesome. With that, that's all I had to say today. Thanks for hanging out. Check the description for cool links and obviously our social media stuff. And lots of more vlogs to come. I'm learning a lot. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time.